You know, the first time I sang for money was in the early 60s when I had a folk singing trio up in San Francisco. I was going to Oregon State at that time, and I transferred down to San Jose State to go to school. And while I was at San Jose, I called an old friend who had been at Oregon State, who was a couple years ahead of me, who had graduated. Her name was Barbara Bogue, and she was living in Palo Alto. And when I talked to her on the phone, she said, "Listen, have you heard about this new folk music stuff that's going on? It's really exciting. And I've been singing with this group. We're called the Kingston Quartet, and we auditioned at the Purple Onion." See, there was 4 of us, obviously a quartet, and but 3 singers and 1 bass player. So it was really a trio with a bass player. They auditioned at the Purple Onion. The Purple Onion said, "You're just a trio with a bass player. Why should we hire 4 of you? Well, we can hire 3. Get rid of the bass player. You don't need him. We'll pay 3 instead of 4. Well, bass player's name was Joe Gannon, and Barbara was engaged to him, so they fired him. She quit. Now there's Dave Gard and Nick Reynolds left. They need a 3rd so they can work there at this famous club. They call Bob Shane in Hawaii, a guy they used to sing with at Menlo JC. Bob Shane comes over. The Kingston Trio starts. They're there for 4 months. There's lines around the block. This is like late 50s, early 60s. And so I show up on the scene about 4 months after the Kingston Trio at the Onion, and Barbara says, "Let's start a group." Like maybe I made a mistake, you know. I know this guy Vic Chung. He's a great guitar player, not a good singer. You're a pretty good singer, bad guitar player. He can teach you to play the guitar. You can teach him to sing, and we'll start a group. Complicated, right? You figure it out. So we started this, worked up 2 songs, Lonesome Traveler and Wayfaring Stranger. 6 months into the Kingston Trio gig at the Purple Onion, they'd signed with Capitol Records in Hollywood. They're about to go make their first album. We go to their going-away party at Nick's Houseboat in Sausalito. We sing our 2 songs about 5 times. You know, they sing for us. They said, "You guys are great. Give us a tape. We'll play for the Purple Onion." We did. They played it. The Purple Onion said, "You guys are great, but you need more than 2 songs to work here." We went home, worked up a bunch of songs. 6 months later, opened with Phyllis Diller for 2 weeks. Held us over. We were there about 3 months. It was very exciting. By the time we left, we had a record contract in New York and a big agent. It was so exciting to be in San Francisco at that time in the early 60s. We were on the front of the wave. It was the cutting edge of what was happening in music in this country. The Hungry Eye was right across the street. These were called discovery clubs, little subterranean basement clubs. The people who worked at the Hungry Eye at that time were Shelley Berman, Jonathan Winters, Lenny Bruce, Bill Cosby, Woody Allen and Barbra Streisand. I saw them one night on the bill at the same time. $2.50 cover charge, and the room was half full for the first 2 weeks. The third and the 4th week, it started to fill up. Word got around. The week we opened at the Purple Onion, Billie Holiday opened 2 blocks away at the Jazz Workshop. The Beatniks were still up the street on Grant at the Coexistent Bagel Shop, you know, reading poetry to jazz. I was a 20-year-old kid with a fake ID in the big time. It's great. Maya Angelou was a calypso singer at the Hungry Eye. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. And she would go on there. She had a conga drum, and she'd go, "There's a fish in the bucket, in the bucket, in the boat, in the boat, in the bay, bo-da-doom, 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 bo-da-doom." She was on stage. She would talk with an accent like she was from Jamaica. She wanted everybody to think she was from there. You know, she was really from San Francisco. She'd come off stage and say, "Mon, that was a tough audience, Mon." And Rico, the owner, would say, "Maya, you can drop the accent. You're off stage now." It was thrilling. I remember Phyllis Diller, my favorite line. She says, "I like to go to bed with a good book or a man who's read one." We used to do calypso songs. We also did Mexican songs and folk songs. And we had this particular song we did, we made a slap strum with the guitar. And so we'd never seen this before. We sort of invented it, I think. And other guitarists would come around and watch our hands, sit in the front row to try to figure out what we were doing. Joe and Mo own a candy store. Tell them fortune behind the door. Cop grab Mo and Joe run out. Brother Mo then began to shout, "Run, Joe, there's a man at the door. Run, Joe, the man, he won't let me go. Run, Joe, Run as fast as you can, run, Joe. Police holding me hand. Loy, 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 loy. Go ask Juanita to stand me bail. I don't want to stay in jail. Hide the crystal ball by the fence, so they won't find no evidence. Run, Joe, there's a man at the door. Run, Joe, the man, he won't let me go. Run, Joe, run as fast as you can. Run, Joe, police holding me hand. Loy, 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 loy. Me mommy told me not long ago to stay away from that rotten Joe. If I'd heard what me mommy say, I wouldn't be in this mess today. Run, Joe, there's a man at the door. Run, Joe, the man, he won't let me go. Run, Joe, run as fast as you can. Run, Joe, police holding me hand. Policeman, catch up with Joe. Joe, run too slow. Loy, 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 loy.